Esta conferencia comenzará a grabarse.
I will start recording, but most probably we will not publish this session, okay? This is a internal session. Welcome. Hello. I see that also Aurora is joining us. Welcome, Aurora. Bom dia.
Don Antonio.
Bom dia, Aurora, como está? Está bom?
Bom dia, Jaime. Tudo bem?
Tudo bem, obrigado.
And I see that we have also Alberto.
Buongiorno, Alberto.
Buongiorno.
And I don't know how to say it to Teodora.
Bom dia e bom dia, Jaime.
Bom dia, Alberto. Tudo bem.
Okay, so today is a special session, meaning that even if I am recording the session, we will not publish it. Okay, so today is more an internal reflection or debate. Okay, that we will keep for us. Okay, I don't know who will join us. Not too many people, I think. Okay, so I see that Marek is joining us. Welcome, Marek. I was telling the rest of the attendants, okay, that today I am thinking of this session more as an internal reflection, internal work than a public session. And in fact, we will not publish the recording of the session. Okay, it's just for us. Okay, and the proposal is to think about the concept of transition pathways and to discuss on how clusters can contribute to the development of those transition pathways. Okay, so Marek, your help will be very, very much appreciated because you know far better than any of us about them. Okay, so I have prepared several slides on them. Okay, but sorry, there is a lot of noise from somebody.
Maybe me, sorry. As I said, good morning. Maybe I did not disconnect the sound. I'm going to do it.
Thank you. So again, open discussion, not to be published. Okay. I think that most of you know by now the 14 industrial ecosystems that has been defined. They have been included in the updated industrial strategy. Okay, and so most probably you have had time to review the documents related to that strategy and to think where do you see your activities, your cluster, or your institution involved. Okay, I have bring two slides that probably are new for you. Okay, about clusters on those ecosystems. Okay, this is an analysis that we have made based on the database that we created past year. So it's not updated with the last data on the ECCP. Okay, there could be some changes on it. Okay, so take it with care. Okay, it's not completely updated, but I think information that could be of value. Okay, so here you can see that what we did past year was to give a weight for the activities, the fields of work that every cluster reported. Okay, and what we did was to sum up those weights. So, as one example, IDEA, the cluster that I manage, is working on digital, but also is very intensive on training, and also is very intensive in advanced manufacturing, artificial intelligence. I could say also IoT, those kind of technologies. And what we did was give 5 points for every one of those activities and sum up all of them. If one cluster is working on other ecosystem, for example, in our case, we are working with health because I have members coming from health. We also introduce a value for those topics, so that will create a link, okay, between my cluster and other ecosystem. The cluster working on digital and in this case the health ecosystem. And so you have here in the slides the graph representing the weight, the total weight by ecosystem on speaking about clusters. Remember, we are not speaking about companies or not speaking about institutions, SMEs. No, we are speaking about clusters. Okay, so representativeness of clusters in every one of the ecosystems, and the weights and the links. Okay, the quantity of the estimation of the volume of links between ecosystems. Okay, so you can see, for example, this is a very good example. We don't have mostly anything on social economy, not because there is no cluster on them on that area, but we don't have information. So please again take the information, this graph with their proper proper view. Okay, it's not totally true. Okay, probably we need to analyze better the information, but I think it's good enough probably to start thinking about what we are doing from the cluster side and where are we strong or where could we be stronger. Okay, as you can see, we are very strong on digital, energy intensive industries, mobility, transport, automotive, and cultural and creative industries. Agri-food also, okay? And not so much in tourism, for example, or textiles, or electronics, okay? That could be also a representation of the real economy, because it could be that the percentage of the one ecosystem is far bigger in order of net billion than the other ones. Okay, so it's not so simple to analyze, but anyway, it's very clear our position in the digital ecosystem, for example. Okay, and it's for me also quite clear the relationship, the guided relationship between the weights and the links. Okay, so the stronger ecosystem representativeness of clusters in one ecosystem is, the most numerous the number of links with other ecosystems, and that is also an interesting idea. It could be wrong, but it's a basis for thinking. Okay, and this is a heat map. Okay, crossing the information that we take it based on that estimations. Okay, so you can see here that digital is the strongest ecosystem in terms of linkings with others. Okay, and we could review those links. Okay, for example, it's clear in this map that the strongest links are between the energy intensive industries, as we understood that. Okay, because we could be also wrong in our understanding, of the ecosystem. So one very interesting exercise will be to recalibrate this map with the proper NACEX codes. At the moment that we created this map, we didn't know the list of NACEX codes, assign it to every one of the ecosystem, but I think that we are not very far. Okay, so the strongest link is between the energy intensive industries and the mobility, transport, automotive ecosystem, as you can see. Okay, and the next one is between creative and cultural industries and digital. So all this information could be quite intuitive. Okay, the point is, what can we do from the cluster ecosystem in order to contribute to the definition of the new industrial policies at the European level? That is the main question for today. Okay, there, you know that we are I am representing the European Cluster Alliance in the EU Industrial Forum. Okay, at that forum, there is a decision to create several task force in order to study how to develop those policies. Okay, and we have offered the possibility to participate on all those task force through several experts from the European Cluster Alliance. Okay, and this session is about how can we do that. Okay, so the main idea will be to use this time to try to identify main links that could help us to reinforce our resilience at the European level, but also how to facilitate the what it's called the pathways, the twin transitions. Okay, the digital and green transitions, and to analyze also horizontal aspects that could impact several ecosystems. Okay, and where we could perhaps act. We could, or we have been acting. I don't know. It depends. Okay, that is the proposal for today. I know that is not easy at all. Okay. First of all, I would like to hear your thoughts, and please don't hesitate to challenge me, because I could be totally mistaken. Okay, so this is just one first approach. The floor is open now for the discussion. As I said at the beginning, for those that have just arrived, we are recording, but we will not publish this session. Okay, so it's internal work. Who wants to comment?
Hello, Antonio. I go first, so to breaking ice. And first of all, thanks for sharing this analysis. I think it's very insightful, and it will need certainly more attention and more analysis. So it's the first time. It's the first time I see it, of course, but it's not surprising me that much. Because what it's showing is that it's more and more there is an hybridization about all the different what were 10 years ago or 15 years ago very separated, in some cases separated industry. Now there is a lot of cross-fertilization between that, and again, as it happens always in when we talk about cluster, sorry, share also my image. Also, it is necessary to combine a quantitative analysis with empiric analysis and with something and analysis that go a bit beyond the simple numbers. For me, it's very evident that this relationship between energy and mobility transport, this is due to the electrification of the transport and also the digital is not a surprise. That is a key enabling technology that is working with all the rest. And this is actually, I think that because what I said at the beginning, that other sectors should be like tourism, for instance. In tourism, there is a lot of digitalization now. If we talk about the pre-pandemic, but all the ICT, the use of ICT in the tourism sector is, it's exploding. So I don't know if I would like to know a bit more regarding how these analyses have been performed, because sometimes the devil is in the details. So I think it is not capturing the real picture, at least a part of that. For instance, I'm very surprised that how tourism is it seems so disconnected with that. Same probably for other industries. Again, what do you say about the proximity and social economy? For me, also, it's something that really, for me, it should not be a separate ecosystem here. I understand that it is necessary to give visibility to this and to identify, but really, as I argued in different fora, for me, this it's something that is, you can have social economy in each one of the other industries. So it's just a different approach to business, and it is not a way of treating it separately for me. But I understand that the need of giving visibility to this. So I think it's a very interesting analysis, a very interesting basis for starting a reflection. So thanks again for sharing. And this will need for me more reflection and more discussion about that.
Thank you, Alberto. I am totally sure that the problem with the proximity and social economy ecosystem is that we don't have data. We, as ECA, I don't have data, or the CCP, as far as I know, don't have data, okay? And most probably this is not representative of the reality. I totally agree with you. But the problem with the tourism ecosystem is something that we should think about, because in fact, that's one possibility, okay? Why the tourism ecosystem has suffered so much, okay? It could be that it's a really endogamic or isolated. I don't know. And I could be challenged for sure.
I also have two things to add. I agree totally with Alberto. And I would add two things. One is that probably those that are not organized in clusters or do not share the cluster activity may still have the old type of mentality of secret in the business, of not sharing, and that may mean that they see their partners in business as competitors. I'm just wondering, but I think that should be analyzed, because who does not share may mean two things. One, they don't have time enough to give importance and work on this side, and the other could be they do not agree. So I think we should work on that, especially because the ones that have more zeros or lower numbers are, I think, who suffered more with the pandemic. tourism almost stopped, and the social economy was the one that increased more, but as less less entities, less public contributing to, and they really do need. So the other point is maybe the alliances of clusters or who have this role should work on the zeros first, and work may mean see if it is true or try to bring those people to the cooperation, because all the linkages create strengths, create opportunities to grow, but either they didn't see that, or they didn't have the time, or they did not have the information to come to the cooperation side. So my advice is to work on the zeros. There are several zeros that I don't believe in. For instance, tourism and mobility. Of course, is not zero. Tourism and agro-food. Now there is a lot of tourism with agro-tourism. So there is no zero. They did not come. But if they don't come, they're not helped. And they need more help than other sectors. So despite there may be some confusion in some of the lines, like what is in the energy intensive industries, or what is this and that, but that's not the problem. The main problem is how do they come? How do we make them come to the cooperation side?
I think that you are totally right, Aurora. For sure, there are collaboration, there are links between tourism and agro-food, but are they collaborating? That collaboration is structured. There is there are projects.
I don't know. That's why I also mentioned in first place, but I don't think it's the first reason, about the mentality of doing alone, because secret is because secrecy is the secret of the business. It's still some mentality around. But I don't believe, for instance, in tourism, I'm kind of involved in that also, and I'm really suffering because I did not participate on the session of tourism very recently. I was in the hospital with my father, but I know a lot of tourism, and I know this is not true. I know also it's the movement of agreeing, of cooperating, is growing and growing. So this is or lack of time or lack of knowledge. So they
Yeah,
should be brought. They should be brought, and the way to be brought could be, so I don't know, many ways.
you are totally right. I see that Marek give us a quotation on the chat. Marek, will you contribute with your knowledge?
Yes, if you allow to share my screen, I would as well a bit still help you discuss on this. Thank you. I just can you see? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I put this quotation because actually what is going on with this transition pathways is implementation of the industrial update of industrial strategy, and this is on the page 16, that the European Commission is going to have transition pathways, and this is exactly about having this bottom-up input and setting the actionable plan. And for this, the key is industrial forum, in which, Antonio, you are member and you are representing clusters. And I think this is the key, because if you can see, the very much is about that there will be different stakeholders coming with ideas, with positions, and European Cluster Alliance can give a visible contribution here. So I would I think the way to go is to to prepare a concrete position of the European Cluster Alliance, which can be presented by you, Antonio, but as well officially published, that this is visible. And these are the main elements, which is so this is you can influence the goals and milestones of greening and digitalization and resilience in each ecosystem. Show bottlenecks, enablers, and monitoring mechanism, and investment needs and funding opportunities, and international dimension. So basically, we are going to gather all this information as well. We are, as you know, in ECCP, we are working on with Orchestra on mapping. We will have ecosystems by NAS, but we will know which clusters. So definitely we need to. It will all be finalized together with the work of the expert group as well. These actions all is going to be finalized in autumn. But why I'm saying this, because this all elements and inputs could be well used by European Cluster Alliance to give a formal position which can be presented in the industrial forum, so that your voice will be heard and visible. Industrial technology ecosystem visions we have now. Ecosystem visions will be updated every year, and there is a place for clusters. So we need to as well to show the progress. Digital compass, fit for 55 targets, industrial technology roadmaps. These are all which we know as a commission. But what is important is to have inputs from stakeholders, and the one stakeholders important stakeholders will be clusters. So this is how it's planned. So this is the transition pathways for the ecosystems are going to be developed June, November, and on this basis there will be elements and stakeholder consultation. But I want to raise what it will include. It will include horizontal measures. It will include as well the things which are relevant to concrete funding. Legal changes if needed. It relates to skills and trainings. So it's everything which needs to, which can be in transition. And here is a certain niche for clusters. And many things of this we have already discussed in previous 1 year of meetings, in as well in expert group meetings. But now I think it's a big chance to make it visible, and maybe point out the leaders for each ecosystem, or cluster leader ecosystem in the European Cluster Alliance, so that we can prepare the set of proposals for the Commission. So for the actionable plan. So that's why I wanted to set this in, because actually this this is after latest industrial forum last week. This can shape the work of the European Cluster Alliance right now. So Antonio, I will give you the floor, but I just wanted to emphasize it, to structure a bit the discussion, why and what for, and what is the time frame. So thank you, and sorry if I interrupted.
No, not at all. Sorry, no. It's perfect. I didn't want to share the information because it's not in my hand to share those documents. Okay, but you are. It's perfect. Okay, so this is. I suppose more clear now for everyone here in this meeting. This is the framework we need to. We want to contribute. It's important for the cluster community to contribute, and this is an excellent opportunity, as Marek said, to put clusters on the scene of the EU industrial policy, and to really help in the development of that policy. Okay.
I want to close sharing, but
sorry.
I want to close sharing now.
I can do it. No problem.
Antonio, can I say two points about this question? The first one is that in which concerns the relation between clusters and the ecosystems, And of course, this is a very previous analysis. I think one important aspect is to analyze the quality of the composition of the clusters, to see if they have more small and medium companies, startups, big companies, multinationals, universities, because in fact, it will be different if we have a cluster that is composed especially by SMEs, and another that is composed especially by multinationals. And the way they will interface with the ecosystems will be quite different. Of course, this is an analysis more difficult, but I think it will be important in the future. The second one, I think it's concerning the dimension of the territory, especially because in Europe, as we all know, the question of the regions is becoming more and more important. And it would be very interesting to know in these connections between the clusters and the ecosystems, how we can, in some cases, put in action the question of the territory, because I think there are some clusters that have a very strong regional impact, and this could be very important for its analysis. Thank you.
Thank you, Jaime. No, but the point here, at this moment, if we want to contribute to these transition pathways, and I will insist that we don't have many time, because this work is starting just now and should be developed during the next 3 months, so including August. So we need to be quick in our reaction. And the point is not so much to analyze now the cluster themselves, but to contribute to the elements that we were speaking about just some moments ago. Okay, so the elements are the transition vision. Okay, so goals and milestone, and we could contribute from our side, from our ecosystems, from our innovation ecosystems, meaning clusters. Okay, so it's also about identifying the bottlenecks, enablers, and how to monitor them. For example, are we monitoring the collaboration between ecosystem or inside the ecosystem? Are we measuring it? Is this an important part of the task or the jobs? Okay. Can we also use clusters to identify investment needs and funding opportunities? Okay. And how can we contribute to the international dimensions? Those are very important questions. Okay. And so we must be quick in trying to answer them, in structuring a document or several documents, creating answers from every one of the ecosystem and between ecosystems. Okay, so I think that there is, as you can see, a priority on 4 ecosystem: energy intensive, industries, construction, tourism, and mobility. Okay, but anyway, we could contribute for all of them. How to do that? That is a very good question. Okay, and I really wanted to hear your opinions on how to approach the task, the job. Okay, we can for sure try to nominate leaders for every one of the ecosystems. Okay, but how to organize it?
Hi, Antonio. It's Alan in Scotland. I think there's a good opportunity around the digitalization. So if you look at something, for example, like an IoT gateway going in, it's trying to pull the sectors together to see how they would use sensors, for example, in order to improve outcomes. So, for example, it could be agriculture looking to improve the crop yield using sensors. But if you can then tie that into other clusters, so for example, into tourism, sort of the agri-tourism side, but also things like healthcare, so that you can improve the quality of food in hospitals, in care homes, that type of thing, to try and prevent conditions that are to do with people's lifestyles, like diabetes, that type of thing. And I think it's looking at these things to be able to then link in regions that have similar issues, similar opportunities, to create long-term strategies rather than being on like a project by project basis. It's looking at things like tourism, for example, in rural regions, and how they look to bounce back after COVID. It's trying to kind of pull together different stakeholders to be able to see how they can do that collectively rather than trying to just look at it within their region.
It makes sense, Alan. It makes sense.
I mean, I'm involved in looking at for the EAAC call for cooling and heating transition of energy systems, but looking at it for better control over the thermal comfort within hospitals. In the extreme, you can kind of cause death by kind of like heat exposure, but there's also the kind of optimization within the hospital in terms of improving recovery, but also staff performance, that if they're in discomfort, they might not, for example, surgeon might not operate as well, that type of thing. But it's trying to do these things collectively and being able to see how you can take learning from one region and share it with others so that everyone benefits.
Yeah, you are totally right. But the point here is that in my mind, okay, we don't have many time, okay, and we should try to make a strategic reflection, okay. That you are giving us very excellent examples of what can be done, okay. But as this exercise should be done during the next months, what I am thinking is how to organize that kind of strategic approach, and don't challenge the cluster to think outside the normal framework of their activities. Meaning, that's why I introduced this slide here, okay? Because if we just ask for ideas, okay, most probably we will have the usual answers, okay. But what I wanted is to highlight, as very well Aurora said, the zeros, you know, those areas where we should improve, okay, and that's where we could really where we could perhaps, not really, perhaps invest efforts, and we could gain I don't know, flexibility, resilience, competitivity through those efforts, I mean. And
I think it's looking at, as I said earlier, looking at the zeros and looking to see how you can find clusters or networks that will come up with examples that will show that that's not the case. So, for example, looking at the links, health and construction, you've got like the Nordic Centre for Sustainable Healthcare in Sweden, and they'll have some really good examples of how like the design of hospitals and the energy systems within hospitals affects the performance, affects the health, that type of thing. But I think, as I said earlier, it's just that they're not engaging with the system, but it's maybe just identifying a few examples of where there's zeros and trying to quickly find the clusters and the projects that show the impact that can arise from these sectors working together.
That's a good idea. You're right. We can work on that. I see that Marek has left us.
Antonio, may I send another idea? In some cases, at least in Portugal, but I believe it's around not only Europe but the globe. There are associations in sectors that do not consider themselves as clusters. The word cluster is in some cases identified or interpreted differently, and maybe one way of quickly bringing more information and more updated linkages to the map, to what is known, maybe to speak with associations, because there are a lot of industrial associations that exist, and we have been working in this forum with EURADA and with other associations. Those are global associations, but I believe in each country we could identify those entities, and I'm sure they complete some of the zeros.
You are totally right, Aurora. In fact, I cannot share all the documentation because it's not in my hand. I'm not authorized to share all the information. Okay, but you know, as I said before, there is invitation to create 5 task force inside the EU Industrial Forum. Okay, and on those task force there will be presence of any member inside the forum that could be or is interested in participating, and that will be a collective exercise. Meaning, for example, for the task force on transition pathways, in the first approach, there are, I think, that something like 15 members, even including, I don't know, Euratex, Eurochambers, Eurocommerce, Industries for All, EEB, many members that will participate in this analysis. Okay, there will be 1 or 2 curators for every one of those task force. We are proposed to be curator of the task force 2, transition pathways, and that means that if it is finally accepted, I don't know, we could be coordinating that task, and for sure we will integrate the inputs for everyone. Okay, and we mean that will be a very intensive work with a lot of meetings and with the supervision of the European Commission and so on. But at this moment, what I am worried about is the contribution from our side. And as you say, Aurora, it could be also that we link with those entities in the bottom-up exercise, so from the clusters participating in every one of the ecosystem. You are right. But just to be clear, this is not only a contribution from the cluster community, but what we need to do is our contribution also. I don't know if it is clear. Or not. Yes.
Yeah, maybe also universities have information. I know that there are a lot of works for development, and that's what this is for. Going on with universities, and there's also this opportunity to we and I also I'm saying we as if I was part of the clusters. Now I feel as I feel as being Vasco contributed a lot to that. And I think we can approach, we all are connected to universities and have information about that. It's a matter of attracting those ecosystems to be with and not in other place working also. Everyone is doing something, but we don't have data about each. Maybe the commission has. I don't know. Maybe Marek and I'm sorry for talking too late after Marek left the meeting, but maybe the commission has more data, because the commission also has the data about the national associations of each sector.
And they will contribute, but sometimes it depends. Everything depends on what you measure. And my sensation is that the collaboration is not very well measured.
Yeah, agree.
Yes. Antonio, may I add something?
For sure, Teodora, welcome.
Yes, I really wanted to highlight again what Aurora just said. But for example, one of the sectors that I'm kind of familiar, the tourism one, it's more, I mean, the data presented we've seen earlier, it's basically, we are really missing there the projects and everything done by the associations. Because, for example, in the tourism sector, we don't have so many they are working as clusters, but they don't consider, they are more or less associations and networks, and they don't consider them clusters, not because they are not, but because they are not kind of well informed that they are really like working as a cluster. So I think the national chambers of commerce could help a lot of investigating those main actors on a national level that already have very good projects to show and linkages between one sector to another sector, because there are many, for example, tourism to creative industries, tourism to agri-food, to really a lot of examples. So one thing that we can do is through the chambers of commerce to check the big players as associations and fulfill the data missing, as well as obviously as well to fulfill the missing information as clusters in different sectors that are not kind of presented as numbers there.
I need to clarify. I'm not really worried about the accuracy of this table, okay? Just take it as a
reference. Yes.
To provoke the dialogue. And we don't have time to organize a project just to make it really accurate, okay? The interesting point here is this reflecting our reality? You can say that there is a collaboration between tourism and agri-food. It could be, it's true, but it's a very weak relationship. Could we improve? Could we make, and in improving it, could we reinforce our capabilities, our competitiveness, or it doesn't make sense? Perhaps it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, we can, or we can even invest. It of course will increase competitiveness, because there is the models that will help others, especially in those sectors that we said that they suffered a lot, and showcasing this or linkages the existing. This will help the rest, I believe. Basically to see options for recovery as well.
Antonio, if I can jump in one moment, I think it's something that unfortunately has happened in class. It is difficult to find a recipe that fits all. I think it's really you have to, in many cases, you have to do case by case, in the sense that now we have this example we are discussing around on the tourism and agri-food. Of course, I agree, and I also agree when Aurora or others say that zeros, there are no zeros here. Probably it's a problem of the data. But it is also very difficult to find, for me, a general rule, and I am afraid that is a process of trial and error, and then at least you can find the recipes in some cases that works at 70%, and in other cases at less. But I think the discussion is very interesting. It's of course it's something that we cannot solve in a session 1 hour, but these numbers are interesting. What it would be interesting for me, it's to have a bit more, well, at least to have these 2 slides and to have a bit more of information about how the data have been collected, because this is really very important, where the data came from, how the data are collected. And so in order to have a more in-depth analysis about maybe thinking about how some evidence are are not coinciding what is the common sense of
Okay, I can give you those details. Vasco, I see that you have commented in the chat. Could you share?
Yes, good morning, everybody. No, I was wondering because Enterprise Europe Network is a very big network, is around all the countries, more or less. They have quite a lot of information. Maybe they could also help us to identify some links through, the activity that they are doing, or the things that they are performing.
Thank you. It's an idea. But again, the point, more than the graph itself, is how to face the challenge, and the challenge is during the 3 next months to contribute to those transition pathways. Okay, so to contribute from our side, and forget about the graph. Okay, forget about it. So how can we approach this challenge? Okay, how can we help in the definition of those transition pathways? Marek said perhaps we could identify leaders for every one of the ecosystems. Okay, but what I would not like is just to give them, because if we just summarize strategic plans, for sure we need to do that. Okay, but in my opinion, we need to look outside those usual approaches. We need to open the views, and we need to look for where could we improve our presence, where could we cover opportunities or needs that the usual approach is not are not covering. That's why I introduced the graph. Okay, not so much about the concrete data. We could discuss about it for months or years, and perhaps we could even propose a project, okay, to measure them properly. But it's not the urgent point. The urgent point is how to make strong contributions to those pathways, and how to do it from our perspective, from the perspective of the collaborative environment. So how would you do that? It's a question for everyone here.
Again, Antonio, if I have a suggestion, I agree on the what Merkel was saying about finding leaders. To suggest something different, instead of finding a leader that it will end up in being a cluster manager of the related ecosystem sector, whatever. For me, and in the spirit also of this collaboration, it will be to find 3 co-leaders with different with maybe people from the cluster management side, one people maybe from including some people from academics, or maybe some people from the policy side. So for each one, if you have to create some leadership, let's create groups of 3 co-leaders that could give different opinion, seeing things different from different angles, and but giving a common view. This is, I think, it's something that also the teamwork sometimes works better, because it's just a small contribution in terms of process, but I think it's could be we can well, take into account.
It's a very good contribution. Thank you, Alberto.
Antonio.
More? Yes, Danny. Welcome.
Hello, and hello everyone here. This year I've been a bit more unavailable because my schedule has been a bit conflicting with these sessions, but I tried to listen in as much as I could, not so much contribute. So hello everyone. Here a little contribution is we need to know that there is a balance between complexity and amount of detail or thoroughness of the analysis, and that we should leverage the knowledge and the perspective of those who are already spending a lot of time inside the ecosystem. And that means, for example, Antonio, you and people who are doing this work, you have a perspective that you don't need to work on again. You can already start from there as a starting point, because you already have this perspective. And there needs to be a point to where you need to a little bit simplify. You cannot gather all of the data from all of the sources, from all of the perspectives, because if you only take the clusters and the collaboration side, you will have a limited set of data, very, very concrete, but it will not be universal. If you, for example, say, let's do it, but when Horizon Europe launches, and then we will use those people who want to participate in the calls and take the opportunity to ask them for information. It will also be incomplete, because it will be only the information of those who want to go to the calls and apply for funding. But maybe there is 3 or 4 different sources of information that we can leverage, and maybe that will give us 80 or 85% accuracy of the point. For example, I remember the work of Céline from University of Lausanne, who has done academic research very thorough. I don't know the origins of that information, but we should also, for example, take into account the availability of those data if the university agrees on participating, because that could also contribute to making a more accurate picture of the situation, and then we could aspire to have maybe 90% accurate, which is, I think, in my opinion, as an outsider, quite a good view of the system if you want to implement some policies. So there needs to be a point into which you need to work on top of the existing knowledge and the existing perspectives of the entire field.
Yeah, we need. In fact, I'm totally sure that we need to use the knowledge that we have been compiling during the last year and a half, and that we have inside our ecosystem. But I would like to really be close to the current reality. You know, that's why it's important to involve the leaders of every ecosystem, because they know really what is happening at this moment. And the situation has evolved a lot. So it's important to have them. You are totally right. So it's time to close. Thank you very much for contributing to this exercise. I will invite several of you, or most of you, to participate in this study if you are willing. The point is that is during the next months, and I will be really thankful if you would like to contribute to it. Okay, I will give you more information during the next days/weeks. Okay, thank you very much. And next Thursday we have a very interesting session with Alberto and Jaime. So you are again invited to join us in the next Thursday. See you soon.
Thank you, Antonio. See you next Thursday.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks. Bye.